Hi. Today we're talking about the June 4th, 2024 Olympia City Council meeting. This one we're doing like a day, not the day after, but the day after, because yesterday we were taping our podcast, Actually Olympia, and you need to check that out on our channels. So,
this is Council in 10.
For the record, I'm Kellie Purse-Brassett.
And I'm Susan Grisham.
If this is your first time tuning in to Council in 10, this is our attempt to recap everything that happened at the last City Council meeting. Usually it's the night before, but this time we're just going to call it this week's Council meeting. We're going to try to do it in under 10 minutes.
Think of it as a bite-sized council meeting.
Great. Okay, so let's get the train going. Push the button.
Okay, so we started the meeting with a roll call as we usually do. Council members Madrone and Cooper were excused. There were no announcements, and we just had the approval of the agenda. And then we went into special recognition. It is that time of year when it's Pride. So council members read a proclamation recognizing Capital City Pride and LGBTQIA+ Pride Month. President and creative event producer of Capital City Pride, Natalie Kobolance, discussed the events and celebrations that will be taking place during Pride. The Pride festivities will be taking place on June 22nd, 28th, 29th, and 30th. And the theme this year is All Bodies Are Pride. So some of the events this year, a pub crawl, a drag block party, a music festival, an after party, of course, the parade, which is always kind of the highlight of the weekend, and then Dyke Day in the park. So for more information about all of these events, you could go to capitalcitypride.net, and I encourage the entire community to come out and celebrate.
Yeah, it was a really great presentation, very joyful and celebratory, and lots of pride flags and all sorts of rainbows going on. And the mayor reminded everyone, even though Olympia embraces pride with open, warm arms, we can't take for granted that other communities don't. So we're yay for us, and happy Pride. Mm-hmm. And then there was public comment, that's right. And so with public comment, we had one public commenter, and it was really interesting because our public commenter was asking the city to look into developing bike parking by Left Bank Bakery, which you probably need to ride your bike there because you'll need the exercise if you go there. But, that sparked a whole conversation about, the city provides parking for cars, but hasn't been as balanced around parking for bikes. And so the commenter asked the council to perhaps take a look at the whole policy on where we put bike parking. And one of our council members even pointed out that we should also be looking at electrifying some of that bike parking, because a lot of people are now riding e-bikes. And from there we went right into the consent calendar, and they had one pool that I thought was kind of interesting. It was a conversation around an approval of our Public Works Department buying de-icing salt brine for the streets when it gets icy from Thurston County. And there was a whole conversation about what the brine was made of, because it's changed. It used to be that the salt brine solution had molasses in it because that helped it stick to the streets. But they don't do that anymore. So you know what that means, Susan? Our streets are less sweet. You were thinking it.
Indeed. So after the consent calendar, we moved into a public hearing. And so this public hearing was on our Community Development Block Grant, or CDGB, Program Year 2024 Draft Annual Action Plan. So CDGB Program Manager Anastasia Everett gave us an overview of the CDGB process. And for those in the community who don't know, CDGB is a federal grant fund by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, and is a grant that can be used for the acquisition of property, facility improvement, public services, and home rehabilitation, and all aimed at carrying out community development projects that principally benefit our low and moderate income community members. So for 2024, we have a total of
360.
Yes, my goodness gracious. Numbers. I'm a words person, not a numbers person.
Me too.
$367,643 available, and the proposed allocations includes funds to Rebuilding Together Thurston County, which is home repair for low and moderate income homeowners, South Puget Sound Habitat for Humanity, again, home repair for low-income homeowners, Enterprise for Equity, which is micro enterprise assistance to low and moderate income business owners in Olympia, the Energize Olympia project, which we've done for several years now, which provides fully subsidized heat pumps to low and moderate income owners, and then a part-time outreach staff for our homelessness response team. And then just some funding towards our planning administrative costs to run the CDGB program. So the mayor opened the public hearing and no one spoke. And then the public comment period is actually open until June 27th, but this item will be back before council on June 18th, so the plan can get approved, and then the plan gets submitted to HUD by July 15th.
All right, yeah. And then after that, we went right into our other business item, which was another joyous occasion. There's been a lot of work in the city. It's been a long path towards our cultural access Inspire Olympia program. And so before council was an approval of funding recommendations from the Cultural Access Advisory Board for the Inspire Olympia program. So they were, the program received 61 applications from organizations in the community, arts, heritage, science, all those sorts of organizations that focus on that. 72% of those applications received full funding. So, and the kind of things that those organizations are going to be doing, there'll be field trips during spring and fall conferences for K-12 folks. There's intergenerational and youth-specific programs. There are going to be ways to increase pathways for youth and art careers, which is really cool. There are going to be internships with local farms. Choral concerts are going to be happening, serving 1,400 to 1,600 people. There's going to be a free outdoor ages daytime dance party, okay? Scholarships for BIPOC and or gender nonconforming artists. A procession of species and luminary parades, get some funding around that. Opportunities for every elementary school student to experience live theater, which is super cool. What a gift for our community. There are going to be scholarship awards for youth ambassadors. There's going to be a presentation that explores the history of Olympia's music. And the funding is handed out in kind of two different groupings. There's a 2-year funding for organizations that have been pretty established, and they kind of, you know, they've got their legs under them. But this program also is about helping stand up organizations that are just getting started. The other piece about this was this particular program brought our former mayor, Cheryl Selby, into the House. She shepherded this program and led it through and made it real. And she said to council that, you know, it's not often that you get to see the fruit of the labors. And council in turn gave her flowers and a mayor's coin, which was developed under her leadership.
Then we moved on to reports, where council members reported on meetings and events they attended. And then we were done.
We're done.
Yeah.
Boom. Okay. Woo.
Under the wire.
Under the wire, we got talkative again. It's the short ones that always get us. I'm mindful because I'm not wearing that silly hat again.
Heck no.
No, we'll be avoiding that. I'll be avoiding that. So I want to thank you for joining us. If you're watching live, just stay tuned. And the council meeting we just talked about is going to come on right after this show. But of course, you can also watch this and all our programming on demand anytime at olytv3.com.
If you want to watch a council meeting and hang out with us live and in person, we're here most Tuesdays at 6 p.m.
We'll save a seat for you.
And with that,
We are adjourned.